Prime. This day, as usual, traditionally Tuesdays are going to be looking at issues plaguing our homes. Relationship is our focus for today. We are going to be asking the question as to whether there is a perfect husband or wife. Do we have our dream husbands and wives out there? Or is it a myth? We equally are going to be looking at sharing responsibilities in the couple or in any relationship. Who should do what and why? Is there any need at all for responsibilities to be shared? Or the income of the madam belongs to madam and that of the husband belongs to the family? We're going to be discussing this with great men of God who already are seated in the studio with us. Apostle Ambe Valentine is in the house with us. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening, Cameroonians and viewers of Prime R. Good evening, my co-panelists. We are here also today again to shape, direct, and give instructions as far as marriages are concerned because of some experiences we've had. And by the grace of God today, we believe we're going to be inspiring you. God bless you.
Okay. Also with us is Apostle Alfred Essingie. He recently graduated to the position of a seer. We're glad to have you. Good evening.
Thank you very much. Greetings to you out there and greetings to the panelists that are here. I want to thank God for another wonderful day that He has made for us to talk about marriage and issues that are plaguing our marriage and to see how we can make our relationship sustainable and to survive in it.
Apostle Lefor Divine, the love doctor, all the way from Boya, Southwest Regional Capital, city of legendary hospitality. We're glad to have you with us once again.
Thank you, Mr. Liu. It's always an honor, and I want to say greetings to everyone watching from all over the world. It's a great privilege to serve the world with knowledge and wisdom, and I am humbled with this great opportunity amongst great minds and to communicate with the world the little we have in light with love and relationship.
Okay. Also with us for the very first time is Reverend Terence Tabot, another mighty man of God who is in the studio with us. Good evening and welcome, Reverend.
Thank you, Mr. Leo, and I'll say good evening to our televiewers and good evening to my co-panelists.
Okay, how are you?
I'm fine. We give God the praise.
Okay. Apostle Ambe Valentine, I'll start with you. This whole notion of a perfect husband, perfect wife, does it start with this another concept called the dream partner? I am looking for my dream wife, my dream husband. Is that where it starts?
You know, today is a very, very nice day, and I'm excited to handle this particular topic because, you know, there is this statement we talk about the holier than thou human beings. They're the ones who always see imperfection in others. But the truth is that all around the world, there is no perfect person. We must acknowledge that fact and accept it because while everybody has frailties, everybody has a disadvantaged part of his life. And if we don't acknowledge that this stuff called marriage is the coming together of two errors, I repeat, marriage is the coming together of two mistakes, and they should be ready to accept those mistakes. And the force that keeps mistakes running is forgiveness, patience, tolerance, and long-suffering. And if at all we don't acknowledge the fact that the person you are getting married to is not a perfect person, you are going to be expecting too much from a person that you will not get. And I think one of the reasons why marriages are frustrated is over expectation. Somebody is expecting 95% perfection from somebody who doesn't even have up to 70%. And sometimes when those expectations are not met, it creates a rancor, division, and strife in the house. The truth is, marriage, I consider it as a package given to you. Once you unravel it, anything you see inside, accept it. That's why I said earlier in another part of this particular broadcast that we must acknowledge the fact that humans who were created by God, God himself said in his word that there is no perfect human being. That's the reason why forgiveness was created in scriptures, in order to ascertain and accept our weaknesses. And if God himself who created us could create a space for our weaknesses and our disadvantages, I don't think that a man will look at another person and feel the person is perfect. So this idea of a dream man is not a perfect man. A dream woman is not a perfect woman, because such persons don't exist on earth. And if you are looking for that kind of person, you better leave the earth, either go to Jupiter or Mars, because they don't exist here.
Yes, this notion, but it's very common, Apostle Alfred, to hear a young girl or a young guy, before even thinking of getting married, say, I'm looking for my dream man. He's not my dream man. The girl says, I'm looking for my dream husband. He's not my dream husband. He does not meet my qualities of a perfect guy.
Maybe you're trying to mix two things together, talking about the dream man and talking about the perfect man.
Yes, because it starts from there. I'm looking for my dream man and hoping that my dream man is going to be that perfect husband.
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
Because words have different meanings. And when you want to bring them together, you must be very careful how you put them together. Perfection and my dream man, they are two different things. My dream man may just necessarily mean that the kind of man I like. I would like a man that is huge, broad chest, dark in complexion, and knows how to carry himself. That does not necessarily mean perfection. It may just means he has my style. He has what I want, actually. Because women have what they admire from a man, and it's just like men. Now, when we talk about dream man or dream woman, we're not talking about the one you saw in the dream. We're talking about someone that you admire, someone that you wish can be your ideal. You know, when a man looks at a woman, you know, in terms of dreams, he sees the kind of children he's going to produce with this woman. You know, he says, I know my children will be intelligent because this one is intelligent. I know my children will be beautiful because this woman is beautiful. You know, that's the kind of thing that people talk about dream. But now, talking about perfection, we're talking about qualities in terms of character, in terms of behavior, in terms of the way they act in the society. That's what we're talking about, perfection. And of course, perfection is not for an individual. Perfection is for both people. God created Adam and found imperfection in him. So he said, I'm going to make a woman that is going to match up with him. That's going to be completeness. That is, there's going to be that perfection. So for marriage to be called a perfect marriage, it has to come from both angles. The man and the woman has to merge in order for them to be called perfect. It simply means that you're going to supplement, you're going to match up.
There are two halves.
Yes, two halves. You need to come together for it to be perfect. That's what we call perfection. So when we want to talk about things like this, we look at it in concepts. And the concept of marriage, what's marriage all about? The two shall become one. That's just 1 + 1. Instead of it to become 2, it becomes 1. So that's the concept. So therefore, when a man is looking for a perfect person, he's trying to look for someone that can understand them better, someone that can make up them better, someone that can be able to know how to put things where they should be, how to cut the T's and dot the I's. That's exactly what we're looking about perfection. You will hardly see an individual, a man or a woman, who is perfect in the sense of perfection. Because of what? The real person that is supposed to complete that man or that woman has not yet come. So when they come in to fill in the gap. So when we talk about imperfection in marriage, we're just trying to say that you were not the right kind of partner to merge with that man. You're not the right kind of personality to be with that man. I used to say that, you know, everybody is good. You just need to know the man that can produce that goodness out of you. You know, there is a woman that can come into the life of a man and turn that devilish man to become an angel. And there's a man that can go into the life of a woman and transform that woman into something different. And when we're talking about perfection, we're looking at who is going to bring out the best out of your life. So if a man is complaining every day about the wife, or the wife is complaining every day about the woman, it means that something is wrong somewhere.
Incompatibility.
Yes, they are not compatible. They are not the right kind of pair. They're not the right kind of people that can come together to make that completeness we are talking about, that perfection we are looking into. So in this sense of perfection, we are looking at a complete whole, where we say the husband and wife have become one, and where this one is weak, this one helps. Where this other one is stronger, this one goes in to see how to put up one or two things in place. So let's not just try to mix up in the sense of a dream man and a perfect man.
Okay.
A perfect woman.
I hope we are getting it when we say dream man. Dream man means that what we hope to. But the hope is that our dream men should be our perfect husband and wife.
They might not be perfect, but they are my dream.
No,
persons.
we cannot get the perfect person, like he says. But we hope that our dream man and woman should be the perfect.
To be the perfect time.
You will not wish your dream man to be beating you in the house now.
No, but some people like the woman. Yes, some women like men that beat them. Yes, some women like that. And you see, if my man would beat me, he say no love me. It's happening everywhere. In Cameroon, here, it's happening.
We are not being spiritual here.
It's not spirituality. This is just carnal things that are happening.
You are being real.
Yes, very real. Some women prefer men who can beat them.
They say if you are
and if you cannot quarrel, they say you are a weak man. Or if they are fighting with a neighbor, you don't come and join them to fight, they say that you don't love them. You must come and join them to fight and quarrel, then they will qualify you to be the correct man. Say my man, I say day. Say my man day.
Okay. Now, what goals should be set in search of a partner? Because everybody desires the perfect wife. I desire the perfect wife, and I'm sure my wife also desires the perfect man. But it is not just we don't just say it. We should also set goals that can lead us towards at least getting, if not 80%, 70% of what we desire now.
You are correct. I want to come in to explain what is really perfection.
Okay.
Yes, perfection is very complex. When you look at the Bible in the book of Matthew chapter 5, verse 48, Jesus Christ told the disciples, he said, they must be perfect as the Heavenly Father is perfect. He said, you therefore must be perfect as your Heavenly Father is perfect. In fact, perfection is here on earth, if we can understand what is perfection. Because when a man comes, the man has. In fact, if Adam did exactly what God wanted, are you understanding? Adam will grow to perfection. And if also we grow and attain perfection, in this state of perfection, they will now come into wedding, into marriage. Because when we come into marriage in imperfection, there are a lot of things happening. And that is what we are seeing. We are in the world of imperfection. And God, that is perfect, wanted to create a world that is perfect. In fact, he created a world that is called to match and keep the principles so that everything will become perfect. Because nobody likes imperfection. Nobody likes anything that is not perfect. In fact, what I want to say is that today is the new age. It's a new age. It's a new age, a new time, that the entire world must understand that perfection is right on earth. Because
it's not in heaven.
It's not here. It's not in heaven.
Okay.
The Bible says whatever is bound on earth is bound in heaven. If you don't bind perfection here, you cannot be perfect there. We must understand this, and we have to teach exactly what it would take people to be perfect. If you don't know the mechanism to become perfect, you cannot become perfect.
Yeah, but we are talking about husbands and wives. Many are watching us here.
Yes, I will come to explain.
Yeah, my question is, what are those goals or qualities that you are supposed to look out for, so that both parties could be perfect too, even to the least extent?
Yeah, I want to explain something that it will help our televiewers. The first thing we have to understand that when God created Adam and Eve, while they were growing, they went astray. They diverted. The fact that they diverted with their children, with all their descendants, up to the day that Jesus Christ came into the world. Jesus was the first perfect man on earth. But in that state of perfection, he needed also an Eve besides, a woman. Jesus is the second Adam, according to 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 45. He said Jesus is the last Adam. So when the last Adam comes, we need also the last Eve. Because the two went out of God's will. When a perfect man, a perfect Adam is coming back, we need a perfect woman beside him. So that they can, the world is sick because we don't have parents. We are like orphans that are abandoned. Are you understanding? Because Adam went astray and took everybody astray. So we are like, even democracy, where you see democracy is talking about right wing and left wing. In fact, is it the right that's supposed to command, or is it the left? It is the head. So we need what we call the Godism, the head wing. And the head wing has not existed in the world. We know about the left wing, the right wing in democracy. We need to grow to the level of understanding.
The Godism in marriage?
No, I'm saying that in this state of deviance,
yes.
are you understanding?
Yeah.
We need to start with an ideal.
Okay.
We have to look an ideal that will help the world, because without the couple, without marriage, this world cannot change.
Okay.
Mr. Leo, he's talking a very strong thing. This one is very strong. But I think that as time goes on, all of us will be diving into some of the things.
Yeah, I think is it Bible lessons? Yeah, Bible school. Yeah.
No. It's trying to make why these errors are coming in, because imperfections are coming into marriage.
Okay.
Which obviously has to be perfect before you enter into marriage.
The love doctor, can you help our televiewers understand that before we even dream of wanting to experience a somewhat perfect couple, they are supposed to take time to do certain things. Setting goals and overcoming them before. Yeah.
Yes, I would like to just take 1 minute to talk about this perfection and dream.
Okay.
It will help. Please. Thank you. There is something I want to say. One of the questions we asked was, do perfect husbands and wives exist? I would say, based on my definition, yes.
Okay.
Sometimes I remember last time we were talking here, and I said a lot of time we have problems because of the jargons we use. And like it or not, our different fields of life or different areas have different jargons. We're talking about the words they use. Perfection, even in the scripture, the way Paul uses perfection, he uses perfection to mean maturity. He says that he gave apostles, prophets, or he gave gifts to the church. Let me call it leaders, because Paul always offended with the whatever word, whether the apostles or prophet, whatever. He gave leaders for something, to build the church till they come to perfection. Perfection simply means maturity. So, if we ask if that is the definition of perfection, then yes, perfection is maturity. But if we're using perfection as faultless, without weakness, then we are no longer talking, because sometimes we, like he said about the holier than thou, sometimes we get a picture that is not real. Because even this Jesus we call perfect, if he walked this earth today, many of us, even pastors, will not be his followers, because we will see something we think is imperfection.
In his days, they saw it.
No, I'm just saying, because he ate, he drank. When he was eating, he ate until they called him that he eats too much. He drank. Let's talk about this in Jesus. Shark wine. He shark. So they say he be wine bible. He say Jesus shark for programs. So they said, "Master, the pastor he drink." Now I want you to.
He drank.
No, don't try to define it. That's being no. They cannot call somebody a wine bible if he was drinking a fruit juice. This is not pure heaven. Please, it's in your Bible. No. It's your Bible. I'm just saying it because I'm saying this because the Jesus sometimes you have here, because this is the problem. It comes to this marriage. The picture you have. Now, perfect and maturity, if that is the case, it exists. Now, for dream will always not depend now on your personal preferences. This is where now the problem comes. Dream is about your personal preference. Now, when I say perfection exists, it means that mature people should marry. Mature people are what? People who can be able to have built emotional stability, financial stability, mental stability. You know, that all the things we have been talking about here. It exists, but not even Paul, who wrote 2/3 of the scripture, was perfect. In fact, he said that there was something in him. He even prayed that God should take. God said, no, leave it there. That is where I will show my own strength. It means God is saying that partner for me, for user. Now, this is something I want to say. So it means that if we are talking about a man who does not have a weakness, then it does not exist in the flesh. But now, coming to dream now comes to your preference. But now you will see that the more mature you are, their dream changes. This is something people fail to understand. So, a person who knows where they are going. Now, if they ask you, maybe when you're in secondary school, Mr. Leo, the kind of woman you want to marry, I can tell you it is different from the one you finally married today. No, let's be honest. There are some people today, if they look back at their exes and they ask themselves, what was I thinking dating these rubbish guys? Because your dream changes also when you mature. So you can also meet your dream. So when we're talking about this dream, there's somebody, if you just think a woman is to flaunt out there, then you will be looking at the one who can do good Mary-Kay, good makeup and everything. But a man who is going somewhere begins to now start looking beyond that and then you see that even their dream changes. So what am I saying? There can be a perfect person, a mature person, good enough for you to marry, and your dream person is a reflection of how you have built yourself. So rather than what you are expecting will come from what you have put inside of you, because a shallow person will have dreams that are very shallow, but a deep person will have a dream that is very deep. So before we start looking at those goals and objectives, take note that this will be very, very relative. His dream will be different from my dream. Apostle Valentine's dream will be different from my dream. Some of them can be, because I don't want to just using big terms. The person should be spiritual. Even the word spiritual is a relative term. The person should be prayerful. Prayerfulness is a relative term. So every time we are looking at these good goals which we are going to step, I wanted to just step a foundation so that we can go, because some people got confused with the Bible lessons. Okay. I wanted us to come back so that they can understand, because we'll dig into this.
Okay.
And I think from that we can build.
There is no perfect husband or wife. Only God is perfect. If your partner has about 60 or 70% of what you like from a woman or man, you can go ahead and get married. Marry a man who loves you, who can give you children and bring up the children. Rita is writing from Boya. Good evening to you, Rita. Emmanuel Saji, watching from Yaoundé. Apostle Lefor defines perfection as maturity, but disagreeing with him a little. There are many immature spouses these days because they aged and got into marriage but were not ripe enough, mature for marriage. Being a husband or wife entails a lot of responsibility, but we still have many immature or irresponsible spouses around us. Emmanuel Saji from Yaoundé. I'm sure you are rather corroborating what you said.
Corroborating what I'm saying, and yes. You're differing with me.
Hello, Mr. Leonard. Good evening. Watching you live from Lagos in Nigeria. Amazing work you are doing. I have this to say: the perfection is the Hebrew word teleos, which describes the interpretation for effective and effectiveness. So, a perfect man is not a man that is sinless, but a man that strives to sinless. Okay? Good evening, Mr. Leo. I love your program. Charles Mbambu. Good evening to you, Charles. Somebody is raising an issue of maturity and immaturity. Is there an age where people should not venture into relationship? Talking about marriage?
Age is practically numbers. Maturity is acceptance of responsibility.
Okay.
It's not, there are 50-year-old people who are babies.
Okay.
Yes.
And there are 25-year-old people who are mature people.
Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with age.
Yeah,
it has to do with the development of mental capacity on how to manage circumstances. There are people who are 14 years, they can control their emotions. And there are people who are 60, they cannot control their emotions. If both of them act together, you will see a difference. There's a master's degree holder who doesn't have a behavior of a master's degree holder, and there's an A-level holder who has a degree of the behavior of a PhD holder. So it's not certificate, it's not age, that's not maturity. Maturity is the capacity to control your emotions. 1. Number 2, the ability to accept responsibility. Number 3, the strength to control your weakness. Everybody has a disadvantage in this life. When we are talking about perfect people, I'm beginning to get confused with the juxtaposition of words with perfection and maturity and who is mature. What about perfection here? Perfection has to do with 100% soundness. That's what we are talking about. If somebody is perfectly in health, it means he's 100% sound in health. If you say this man is perfectly rich, it means he's 100% financially okay. And if we are talking about perfection in marriage, we are talking about character. It's character, it's not charisma. There are people who can sing here and they are 100% perfect in their singing. That is charisma. But we're talking about character. And character has to do with the nature of man. And the nature of man is born out of the foundation of sin. David said, in iniquity did my mother conceived me. Which means from that root you have an imperfect nature. Now, when you get born again as a child of God, the word of God begins to shape you. And it is difficult for you to gather the wisdom of God all through a year before you die. Because the Bible says the ways of God are past finding. So we want to ascertain perfection in terms of people being mature. It's a big mistake. Okay. I've seen very mature people who still are crazy. That's true. They are crazy. A man that commits adultery in a marriage might not be immature. But it could be something in his nature that he cannot control. That you will call such a person an imperfect person.
That which I want to do, I do not know.
I see myself.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. So if we are confusing between maturity and perfection, I think we have to clear this air.
No, that's not even our focus here. The fact is, we are looking at relationships, and is there any such thing as a perfect?
That is what
husband?
I said. That your nature. If a glass breaks, it is the material used to create that glass that causes it to break, and because of the nature of the material, it is bound to break.
Okay, but now, we have couples who find almost everything wrong in the other.
That's the question you're supposed to be asking now.
Yes, well,
That was the initial question. You were just responding to the issue of immaturity. The question here is: we have partners who find almost everything wrong in the order. You complain about almost everything about your husband. Your husband complains about almost everything about the wife. Is it the fact that you made a wrong choice, or you did not take time to study each other and understand?
Listen, even if you take time to study each other, there is something we call mental compatibility.
Okay.
If two individuals have a great distance in their mental capacity, nothing will be right concerning you, because you are going to be looking something from an angle and not looking it from that angle, which means we don't have mental compatibility. If two persons have, a girl and a boy came to my office that they want to get married, and the first thing I asked, I said, what is your level of education? The guy said he has done his first degree. The girl said she's doing masters. I said, both of you are compatible because you are close academically. When a man who is not educated finds a woman that is educated, when the two of them come together, when the woman struggles to correct anything concerning the man, he will consider it an abuse, of which the woman can be selfless. And this mental incompatibility is one of the reasons why we see almost everything wrong in people. Number two, there are people who might have a weakness that a woman does not have. For instance, a man may have anger, and the woman does not have that anger. The woman begins to act as if the man is the worst human being on earth. When you magnify people's error, you make them feel less important in the society. This is the reason why you see most homes are scattered. Because why? Certain weaknesses in people that you are supposed to have joined help them to fight against it. You instead take it to insult them and then condemn them for having that particular disadvantage. Nobody desires any weakness. You heard what Apostle Lefor said. He said, Paul said, an enemy was sent to buffet my flesh. I went to God 3 times in the place of prayer. Now, God said, my grace is sufficient for you. Stay with the weakness. If that man Paul was married to a woman, the woman would not have seen that weakness the same way God was seeing it. That's why there are many people we are condemning as human beings that God has qualified in the realms of the spirit. Because if Paul actually was married and we know he had that weakness, he would have been having constant problem with the wife every day. Something that God had endorsed was what humans were condemning. So we'll talk about perfection. Perfection in whose eyes? In the eyes of God or in the eyes of men? Because there are so many things that humans condemn that God has endorsed. There are many people whom you look as if they are nobody in your eyes as a human being, according to your own analysis, why God is taking them. Moses got married to an Ethiopian woman. In the eyes of men, it was an error. But in the eyes of God, it was an agenda from heaven. So when we take human perspective, are we judging this perfection based on what humans ascertain or based on what God calls as perfection? Because we have seen many cases in scripture that if you want to judge from the eyes of human being, you will condemn. For instance, Abraham is going to sacrifice a child born with a woman and that tell a woman. That's imperfection. That's betrayal. But in the eyes of God, it was correct. So let us know that the way God sees things, it's not the way we see things. It's the way we see things.
Yeah, but where do we place this aspect of wrong choices in relationships or couples? That could be a potential ground for constant fightings amongst couples.
All right, let's just look at this this concept. I was talking about concepts. A perfect gentleman. Who is a perfect gentleman? Is one that treats a woman like a human, and not as an object. The man who treats every human equally with love and respect is indeed perfect gentleman. The man who respects others' points of view, even though he doesn't agree with them, is a perfect gentleman. That's why I'm telling you that the word perfection has different angles of view, how people view certain words. Now, most women are not ready to get married. Unfortunately, men want to marry only when they are ready. And before you see a man decide to settle to get married, it means he has taken time to prepare. But most women are not prepared. They may be in other relationships, and they finally find themselves in the one that is ready. You know, they like men who are ready. They may be ready financially and otherwise, but their love and their heart is somewhere else. Now, when they come into marriage, what happens? They finally discover that it's not about rushing into marriage, but it's about finding where your heart is, finding about where love is, finding about what you want is. If not, you will find a lot of inconsistencies in marriage. Where are all these problems coming from? It's because the women rush into marriage because they saw someone that was ready. But in real sense, they were not ready. That's what most of our problems are coming from. Now, the pressures that are put on young people or maybe young girls to get married today by their families is some of the results, is some of the consequences of, is some of the things that produce these hazards that we're getting in marriage today. Because we are saying that what? This is not my right choice. This is not my right choice. But because he's ready to marry, he has the money, he's ready to see my parents, he's ready to go to my people, what happens? I go for him. Because my parents want me to marry. Age is going, time is going. If I don't marry now, things may go wrong. Now, because of that, so many find themselves in a situation where they begin to regret. Because in most cases, you regret. Because you marry someone you didn't know. Like a pastor, I've experienced a lot of things. Even at my own home, I experienced a lot of things. Someone just come, you want to marry. You don't want to sit down and know who you're getting married to. Now, when you, even if they want to tell you, you don't want to listen. You create a lot of problems everywhere. Now, a mature person does not create problem. Before you enter into marriage, you would have known that you're setting a foundation that will destroy you tomorrow. It may not destroy you in the early phase of marriage, but it will destroy you in future. You don't create problem everywhere, tension everywhere. You insult the parents, you insult this and this because you think you are in love. And you think that marriage will be successful for you. It can never be successful for you. That's why you see, most people find themselves in trouble. How many girls and boys have gone to sign marriages in the court without the consent of their parents? Only because they are in a rush to satisfy their curiosity and their emotional gratification. At the end of the day, they enter into marriage. And when the realities of marriage begin to show up, someone said the first 2 years of marriage, the man takes every order from the woman, listens from the woman, wants to pet the woman. Now, the second 2 years of the marriage, the woman begins to listen from the man, takes from the man. And the next years that are coming up, both of them begin to argue and the neighbors begin to hear from them. Because nobody will hear from you at this first phase because you have not met reality. But after that, because of what? The foundation people created in the marriage haunt them after. God's judgment may not take 1 day. It may not take 2 days. But it takes some days. And sometimes when parents speak, people don't listen. Why would so many suffer? Because the words of parents are haunting them. Their parents spoke to them, they never listened. And they went into it because they followed emotions. And at the end of the day, when the emotions start backfiring, you want to go back to your parents. Your parents say, no, I'm not there. I cannot continue me again with this thing. I'm not there. That's the kind of thing that we see out there today. Most people have set wrong foundations. You start with a woman, the first thing you do, you think is only the bed. You start with a woman, you think the next thing to do is to take her from one bar to the other. You start with a woman, the next thing you do is you think is to touching and kissing and everything. Now you have built that relationship in erotic manner. You have built a relationship in a sex environment. And when you enter into marriage and you want the sex there, you can't get it again, it becomes a problem. Because you built a sex environment. And then you go into marriage and you discover that responsibilities come in and kills that emotional aspect of your life. And you can't continue in sex again the way you used to do it. It becomes a problem.
Okay. Good evening, viewers. I don't think there is a perfect husband or wife. It becomes perfect when your partner knows your imperfect aspects and turns them to perfect aspects. Understanding and tolerance is what makes couples perfect. Physically, there is none. Ricardo, writing from Boyertown. Good evening to you, Ricardo. Tiku Felix from Boya says, Mr. Leo, perfection in a relationship is a manifestation of what you as an individual see or define. There is no global measure of perfection. It is a relative term, my brother. What is accepted by one is condemned by the other. Good evening to you, Brother Tiku Felix out there. Good evening, Mr. Liu and all the panelists. Great topic for this evening. I think there is neither a perfect husband nor a perfect wife, but both imperfect beings complete the imperfections of each other for a great, if not a perfect relationship. The moment aspiring husbands and wives acknowledge their weaknesses before getting into marriage is the moment they can consider themselves ready for the institution of marriage. Looking for a dream man or woman simply keeps us in limbo, and we find it hard to make a definite decision. Okay? Good evening to you, Emmanuel. This one says, perfect is an unachievable, unrealistic, and practically ideal that leads people to project their fantasies. Eno Agbo is writing from Germany. Good evening to you. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I really love the program tonight. For my own opinion, perfection in a relationship comes in when you both have a focus and understand yourselves, then there will be perfections. But if you don't understand yourselves, then forget there is no perfection. Thank you. This is Rosita writing from Yaoundé. Good evening to you, Rosita. Thanks you all for the program. I have a question, please. Why is it that a woman married to a man still finds herself being attracted to other men? Is it a spirit, a weakness, or lack of love and attention by the husband? Does this make the wife imperfect? Please, this issue comes up a lot during counseling. I don't know whether anybody can help.
I will take the question.
Okay.
Yes. You know, the fall of man. Yes, the fall of man, tainted man. Yes. In this state of impurity, because man is supposed to grow and become perfect. If people must understand that perfection is on earth. Jesus was born good, but he grew to perfection. We must understand this. Hebrew told us that Jesus was born even as a son of God. He grew and became perfect. He had favor with God and man. Adam, that God created, had a portion of responsibility. The portion of responsibility is for Adam to grow and become perfect. Perfection is not only in bodily form. Perfection also is in the spirit man, because man is not only flesh. How will perfection take place? Because in this portion of Romans, Paul said, what I want to do, I find myself doing another thing. That means to say that the body is going its own side and the mind is going its own side. I mean, the man is divided. There is a conflict, internal conflict, and internal conflict in man. Man is already fighting.
Is that what is happening in the life of this our sister?
This is what is causing the people to act. I mean, I don't know. This is the problem. If the man can unite the mind and body, there will not be. In fact, there will not be any ground for that man to do those sort of things. A perfect man is a man that. Do that? No, I will explain how you do it.
Is it a spirit? She's asking that. Is it a spirit that's haunting her to be?
No, it's not the spirit. The man has a responsibility. The first responsibility is to understand that.
The lady.
No, let me come. That lady that is going out. The lady is married, but she finds herself going out. What is the force that is dragging that lady out? That is what we have to explain.
Yes, but that's the question.
Now, the explanation of it is that in the human body, are you understanding? Man receives sunlight and air. There are two elements that are tangible. You drink water, you eat food, they are tangible. You receive sunlight and air, they are intangible. And you generate something we call the vitality elements. But for the vitality element to enter into what we call the life element that comes from God, because when you do good acts, if you study the word and understand the word and apply the word in your human body, you generate what we call life element from God. And that life element enter into give and take between the vitality elements from your body and the life elements that come from God. It enables you to unite your mind and body. Are you understanding? And in this state of unity, as Jesus Christ wanted his disciples to be perfect no, don't laugh. It is serious. This is very serious. It is serious because Jesus Christ, who started teaching us in the book of Matthew, let me come, please. Don't disturb, please. In Matthew chapter 5, verse 48, Jesus Christ said, repent, for the kingdom of God is at hand. I mean, humankind have to repent. There is a question of repentance. Okay. There's a question of repentance because human beings have been diverted. They have diverted from the original, foundation that God wanted human beings to be. In this diversion, they have been doing their own things. They have been marrying according to their own ways. In fact, let me tell you something. We study everything. For instance, you study history, geography, and all whatsoever, the scientific, but when it comes to marriage, nobody study. Is there any school that teaches us about marriage?
That's a big problem.
That is a problem. People want to, everybody is talking marriage in his own sense.
Yeah.
But let us come and see the ideal. Why did God create it? How did he wanted Adam to live, first of all? In fact, in the first family, the senior son killed the junior son. To tell you that the problem was, in fact, Adam had an obligation, a portion of responsibility, and he could not fulfill, and he started seeing the result in his family.
So in the summary, what she should do,
I want to say that he need to come for teaching.
Okay.
He need to come to for teaching.
Okay.
Because that spirit that is called, that misconception and that energy that is tracking her away to, in fact, she loves even the husband, but she finds herself doing some certain things that she cannot understand. So we need to bring her into, we have to teach her and bring all this, wrongful and outside for people to understand.
I was looking at something on in this context. Now, so many people still had problems. That's why I told you that women usually rush into marriage when they are not yet ready.
Okay.
So when you now get into it, you finally discover that what you were looking for is different from what you have seen. Because not every man you meet can satisfy your need sexually. And in most of our churches today, they don't permit you to sleep with a woman before you get married. So you don't really know the appetite of the woman. You don't really know her libido, how her libido functions. So when you discover that, to you think that you are doing very well, you are hitting very hard, you think that you are trying your best, you only discover that you have been wasting your time. Yes. Then now she gets up and you are already sleeping and snoring, and she discovered that she's killing all the mosquitoes on the wall because of what? She cannot meet up with that kind of a thing. So many girls are frustrated in marriage. So many, especially those are coming from certain tribes that have that high libido. Truly, some tribes have libido. Some families have high libido. And for them to marry, they must get to someone that will be able to manage that particular emotional state. Yes.
No, we have been talking big grammar here. There are many persons watching. What's high libido?
That is high desire.
No, send people maybe go cause from. Somebody told us that children are watching us, so we are trying to see their sexual desire is very high. So they don't take it like that. To you, when some men think that they are starting, but they have done their best. But to the woman, the man is just starting. Because a woman takes time before she gets into that height. Yes. And then when you get into that height and only discover that now the man is already sleeping. He's already snoring. And you want to even touch him. Are you sleeping? He say, I'm tired. And there's just nothing you can do. And you want to touch him again. He say, you overlike sex. What happens? Neighbor will help neighbor. The next morning, the neighbor that will greet her well, and then some kind of things, it will cause a lot of trouble. So what I will advise is that if a woman is in that kind of condition, please find out what is her need, what is her problem, what is pushing her to that. Especially a woman who does not have a love for God and does not know Jesus Christ as Lord and personal Savior. They have a need. Now, in order for the man to be able to meet the need, like just as a man of God has said here, he need to go for a teaching on how he can satisfy a woman. Because normally some women can take 3 hours, 4 hours to be satisfied. But a man will just want to take about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or even 30 minutes. To him, he thinks he has done it. So what we think is, I will still advise that this man should learn how to satisfy the wife and keep the woman down. But even though we know that there are some women that no matter how you satisfy them, they will still go out, because it's in their culture, it's their behavior, and some are possessed. Some are possessed, some have spiritual problems that if they are delivered or cast out that spirit from them, they'll be able to be set free. But I will always advise the men, please, don't think that you know everything. Sit down and ask your wife.
Okay, Apostle Lefor, Divine, we are talking about whether there's a perfect man or woman in the house. You know that when the couples are dating, almost everything is so sweet. The guy gives you fish, the guy does this, the guy does this, and then, yes, when you enter the house, you discover that this guy is not the perfect. You say, but well, this man don't change. You don't change a character.
Thank you so much for this question. Our last program, I was planning to answer this question. It came up. I was planning to tackle it, but unfortunately, by the time you was coming, it was after from somewhere else. I really want to first start with what our pastor is saying here. I think it would be very unfair if we keep thinking that only women or mostly women marry immature. The truth is many men also marry when they are immature. Having money in your bank account is not equivalent to having capacity to marry. There are billionaires out there who can't handle marriage. I really want to say this because that's why you see I use the word maturity, because I was looking about an all-round stability. Because when we keep saying that a woman met a ready man, I want to say many men today are also marrying from pressure from mother, yes, from pressure from society, from pressure from
their own sex life.
Yes. Now, this is not that it is something that needs to be solved. And I also want to say that this thing is not only a sexual thing. Like you think that you just sex very well and you can solve marital issues, like you said. Because, for example, like he was talking about a man changes. That is why if people don't understand, you see, throughout this program, I have always liked us to go to the root. That's why you see I keep saying that. That's why I have a very great passion. Even the Wise Consulting have a great passion to talk to people, especially before they enter into marriage. But the problem is they will rather prefer to spend 25,000 drinking beer than to spend 10,000 and come for a teaching or buy a book or a tape that can transform their lives. Just like how the man of God is saying. Now this thing is like this. Marriage is about responsibility. It's not just about that sweetness of, you see, it is easy for two people who are not living together to enjoy each other's company until it comes in and other responsibility comes. Now, one of the things I wanted to talk last week was this. Sometimes the reason why some men change is the financial responsibility that come upon their head in that marriage that they never expected. Sometimes some of them did not know that even just giving birth to a child or two would turn their whole life around. And that man that we were talking about here, that man said, that man was like, the man will never smile. If they laugh, now so it don't change. He need to call again. How can he call? Sometimes you are seeing a man who, before that time, all he had to do was pay his rents, pay his cable bill, and that was life. Now you have to take care of a woman, you have to take care of extra expenses. Other people are coming to the house where the woman have a child, you start looking for nanny and parents and all of these things. These things changes a man. Every true man out there who is hustling, especially men who are the breadwinners of the family, will tell you even financial pressure can change your facial appearance. You enter the house and all you are looking at see these people are just draining you. It can affect marriage. So people who are entering into marriage must understand how deep this responsibility is, how they have to be able to handle this. It goes beyond this Philippine movie and Indian movie stuff. And I want to say both men and women need to really understand and be prepared for marriage before stepping into it. Because if this is not done, if this is not approached like this, if we keep seeing this thing like just like how the sex, like he was talking about how the sex is sweet, yes. How would the sex not be sweet when the only thing you do was to go and do 2 courses in the university? You came back, you had the whole day to drink. In the evening, you had enough time to hit, sex, and carry all manner of things, and carry in the chair and all of those things, carry the woman to all kind of places and put her on all of that. Don't worry. When you start walking from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and you enter the house, madam don't move close, stand for the way you go look and so nothing, no stand. Nothing. And not because there's anything you are thinking about how tomorrow will be. You are thinking about you are thinking about the call that called from the village. You are thinking about an uncle who is sick. You are thinking about your child who needs medical attention. You are thinking the school fees has just come. They have called for bill. It is important they understand that marriage entails so much responsibility that it can crack you if you are not mature. Mm-hmm. And when we're talking about this perfection, I want to say this. There are a lot of people that their imperfection is just the perfect thing that their partner needs to fit and become a better person. It's like 2 parts of a car. Sometimes when they bend and they slim in one side, another part of the car will say, now which kind part that? But that is where the bow enters. That is where another part fits with another part. That is why we're talking about purpose. Because sometimes each purpose for a part of a car needs to fit somewhere. So a lot of times this imperfection you're talking about, which you are observing from your own point of view, might just be what a partner needs to become perfect, to fit in for a higher purpose.
Okay, good work, Mr. Kum and the team. To be realistic with your topic for today, if there is a perfect husband or wife, then I will see there is no perfect husband or wives. The pastor with suit says there are. Perfection means that the person is faultless or sinless. Mr. Kum, let us be logical with this. There is none that is truthful. Relationships involve 2 imperfect persons. That is why there is the room for tolerance. If there was perfection, then we can't talk about weakness. Thanks. From Francis, writing from Yaoundé. Good evening to you, Francis. Greetings, sir. I love your program. Please, I would like the viewers to know first that there is no perfect man or woman. Jesus said none is perfect, so we should remove the word perfect. Secondly, Paul said we are the body of Christ. That means everybody has something to contribute. Understanding is what marriage is made up of. Dennis, writing from Yaoundé too. Good evening to you, Dennis. This one says, hello there. If marriage before sex in some churches is the cause of romantic frustration in some marriages, should those churches not permit the Christians to know various partners sexually before marriage to avoid libido's embarrassment? Onkunji, writing
when they know, it will not solve the problem, because this person who is asking has known how many girls, how many did he marry? Knowing somebody's sex level will not allow you to, will not make the person to marry.
Good evening, Mr. Kum and the panelists in the studio. The discussion this evening is an issue that has engulfed the human race. There is no perfect marriage. Marriage does not happen, and you have to work for it and working till death. Good night to everyone. Eko Kangomba, writing from a great support. Good evening to you. Hi, it's Sister Achwo Doris from Loom. I hail your points all, and what I have and I know is that there is no perfect relationship and no clear age or level of is restricted for marriage. When we get into it, all we need is prayers. Good evening to you all in the studio. Perfect husbands do exist, because my wife always tells me that I am perfect, so I am sure there are still others like myself. I am Sir Joe, writing from Kumbu. Good evening to you. Good evening, Mr. Leo. May God bless you for these wonderful classes. Greetings to the men of God in the house. There is no perfect husband, no wife, but all is built on tolerance and reasoning with the partner's opinion. Please, sir, help me ask Apostle Ambe whether is it proper for a pastor to propose marriage to a lady he was counseling for marriage with another man, but for the excuse that the man did not return from abroad on the date he promised, the pastor went ahead and proposed. Please help answer this. Is it proper for a pastor to propose to
the woman he was counseling? Now he proposed because the woman he was counseling with, that's the husband, did not come in the date that was arranged. So it looks like the man was out and did not come. So that the pastor now went ahead.
Since the man failed coming, the pastor used the opportunity. But my question to you is that looking for perfect husbands and wives out there, is it not also a function of too much Nigerian films where you see super love, real love, where everything is written, scripted, people are acting films, and because you see this, they dream. What we think can also happen to us is that our husband should act like Ramsey Noel Jim who is acting, or the fact that we read many books. Could that not also spur some of us to want to live what we see?
I have said it and I'm still saying it. Most people who write books write 80% of their personal experiences. And their personal experiences might not be even 30% of your experiences, because no two marriages are the same. We know there are general rules that concerns marriage that we can teach, but practically marriage is what you face in your house. That particular encounter you have between that particular woman and that particular man. That is the reason why a man may not be able to stay with a first wife and successfully stays with a second wife. The problem is this: once individuals in question who are not compatible, and I will still get back to that place, they come together, you will find imperfection. For instance, if I am staying with a woman who is learned and I stand to address a people and my English is not good, that woman will see imperfection in me. Not everyone in that place will see imperfection in me, based on what she studied. She is linguist. She's a linguist. I'm not a linguist. I'm her husband. I stand to speak something. Maybe not everyone will catch that error so quickly. But because she's too educated in that area, she handpicks that error. She sees an imperfection where nobody is seeing it. That's why I'm telling you that you have to grow up to a particular standard in order not to see a lot of errors. That's why I say the more you grow in knowledge, the more you get annoyed. Because when you make discoveries, you see a lot of mistakes. Sometimes too much education is a crime. Because it makes you easily identify errors. That's why we are saying that if an individual is too exposed, he may see virtually every mistake in an individual. Why, if you don't have such knowledge, mistakes can even take place in front of you, and it will be difficult. How did our parents? But if you are married to somebody who has studied, and you say, I went to Kumba.
Went to UB.
Went to UB. He said, I went to Kumba. She feels like you are humiliating her, the woman, publicly because she knows that error. But you who seem not to have gone to school, you don't see it as an error. So I say that the differences between two persons is when somebody is more advanced in knowledge than the other. For instance, if somebody knows how to match colors in dressing, then he marries a woman who is not exposed in dressing. She just jumble up blue and then take red attached to it and then add a little black and then put orange. Just envisage that color in your mind. Then she comes and says, honey, how do I look? Gosh. You can just vomit. That is because you know how to make colors. That imperfection is not because you have knowledge in something she does not have knowledge in. But if the man is exposed and the woman is exposed to a greater extent, both of them come together. Once the man dress, the woman can say, honey, you look decent. You look sweet. She can just come adjust the tie. Then a woman also who is perfect, as she dresses and comes at the man, because these are the things I'm talking about. Once he enters and the house is haphazard, he has no problem. He has grown from a bushy background. Yeah. But another person who is well coordinated, he enters a house, and the pillowcase,
one thing is out of
is disorder. I say, why is the TV? Why is there dust on the TV? That imperfection is easily seen because the man has knowledge in that area. So when two idiots get married, there won't be any problem. But when one exposed individual gets married to a junk, every single thing the person does is wrong. I met a lady, she said to me, the husband sees everything she wears wrong. I said, because your husband is too exposed how women dress.
Yes.
There are people who have grown in the village. Now their country ground tie, that's what can't put that corner, so it doesn't affect him because he doesn't even know how women must make color and the dress. A girl can make up here. You see the makeup, you see now you do this. Another man see who doesn't know what to make. How wonderful, Sherry, you shine today. The difference with these two persons is that somebody is exposed over something that the other person is blind about. That's why if you want to get married to somebody, both of you must come to a place where you have the same taste, the same vision,
in the basic,
the same capacity in viewing things. That's it. Somebody wrote me.
That's perfection.
Somebody wrote me on WhatsApp. She speaks good English. And she said, I want to carry out a visibility study. I said, no, it is feasibility study. She said, thank you. She didn't see it as an insult.
Yes.
Now tell somebody, that's somebody who is educated. You tell somebody that it is not visibility study, feasibility study, he get angry. You feel you are insulting them. So when we talk about working together or matching in perfection, we're talking about people who have the capacity to see things the same way.
Okay. Good evening to you all. Perfection is not in marriage or dictionary, and if it does, then it is a relative perception. What is acceptable in Beti is unacceptable in Mancon. What is acceptable in Africa is a farce in the West. So perfection is complex and near nihilistic. Anderson Ali, my brother watching us from the U.S., good evening to you. Good evening to you all. I am Roberta from Yaoundé. As concerns the topic, it depends on the significant order to define perfect. No one is perfect by the real definition of the word. Everyone has a flaw, yet many people in their partner's eyes are perfect because it all depends on how they see perfect. And some, it's being kind, caring, hard, and hardworking. Okay? Good evening. Pakum, there is no perfect man, but most men are emotionally aggressive. Okay. Good evening to you in the studio. The solution to a happy marriage is tolerance, and that will be from the man. Hi to all in the studio. Marriage is an institution God created for couples to study till death part them. They can only succeed if they tolerate, forgive, communicate, and endure in all odds. Because of all this, no marriage is perfect. Prof. Akamahantan, writing from Douala. Good evening. Mr. Liu, the reasons why many people fail in marriage is also because they want to learn excellence about marriage in marriage. It doesn't work that way. Was about to talk on men being immature too in marriage, and the love Dr. Apostle Lefor Divine spoke on it. Thank you, sir. Stephanie Ngum, writing from Moliko. Good evening, Mr. Kum. I think the purpose of watching this program is to have a broader understanding of these topics. So if the only thing we will do is to contradict these noble speakers, then it shows we already know much about this topic, and it's preferable we just switch. Okay, who is contradicting? I don't know who is contradicting. Who here? Good evening, Mr. Kum, and all in the studio. The topic is really wonderful to me. There is no perfect man or woman relationship that should be built on love and tolerance. Good night to you all. It's Maris writing from Limbe. Good evening, Mr. Liu and everyone. I'm following up. Sulika, writing from Cameroon. That's in Chang. Good evening to you too. Good evening to you all in the studio. It is an important topic of discussion. Thanks for bringing it up. For me, I think the word perfect in marital concept is a relative concept. That is a perfect man, woman for one is imperfect to another. Coping in a relationship or marriage has to do with the couples involved. Most especially, most people are not able to cope because they miss it from the beginning. Just like Apostle Divine says, it is important for couples to go through premarital counseling. There is a lot of wrong perceptions and values attached to marriage. There are so many things considered before getting married. It takes two imperfect people to make a perfect marriage. Most importantly, it is easier to deal with another if you are fully aware of his or her weaknesses. Miss Leke, marriage mentor and relationship coach, writing from Boya. Miss Leke, can you also get to us so that in subsequent editions you can come and share with our audience what you have or what you know? And many other persons who are watching, please, if you think that you can join this panel to teach about issues of marriage, feel free to contact me at the end of the program so that I can get your name and number, and if possible, invite you over to join our discussion. And you watching us, if you're a business person, wherever you are, and you think that you can use this program to reach out to your clients, call us and be the sponsor of this program with a very huge audience. If you're a business person and you want to reach out to your clients, you have a hotel or whatever business, and you want to be a sponsor of this program, just call us after the program. We see how we can work together. Apostle Alfred, it's easy for persons to see other couples driving big cars, well dressed, and also have that perception, or yes, have it in your mind that they are living perfect lives, not knowing that in Pidgin they say na roof the cover house. Yes, most persons get into problems because they want to compete with what they see and not know how other couples are struggling.
That's exactly what is happening out there. We call it packaging. Packaging.
Yes, packaging.
A lot of people do a lot of packaging today. They want to get this, do like the others. They want to go the way the others are going. You see, some people take a lot of loans in order to live. Some people have help from brothers and sisters. Some people, have different backgrounds which they came from. And, many young girls have gotten married to young people because they saw them with cars and all the like and didn't even know where they got all those things from. And unfortunately, when you are in marriage, you discover that people begin to knock your door every day asking for their money and so on. They begin to claim the cars, they begin to claim everything because they give you the impression that they had all those things, but which they don't have. if you go to Boya today, especially around the University of Boya, you discover that this competition is there because a lot of young people are driving very high cars, and so somebody that in their family they cannot even eat complete meal. But they are driving some expensive cars and so many other things. And at the end of the day, you say, that's my guy, I want to marry but this kind of a guy. And after you get married, you discover that what you went in for, that is actually what was not there. Marriage actually is not how you started it. It's not how you started it. It's something that is going to take a lot of time. Let me make this clear. Marriage has a lot of time to spend together. Don't try to impress somebody all on one day. You cannot impress people on one day. Now, if you judge somebody from the first 1 year in marriage, it's a very wrong judgment. You judge somebody after 2, 3, 4 years, even 5 years, it's a wrong judgment. With time, people begin to unfold their real characteristics. They unfold their characters and their behavior, and so on and so forth. Now, a lot of people have gone into debts. I'm talking about heavy debts because they wanted to please the woman they want to marry, or they have married, or they want to please the husband. Because some girls know how to package. They go and borrow or beg their friends' dresses and wear, because that's the competition that is is very common now. You see young girls borrowing dresses and then they wear them. They go, my friend, I beg, and they go to an occasion. And also men, they go day for day, find my change, look the kind of thing. And then they change and wear those kind of dresses. And then when you look at the girl, you say, wow. Only to discover that those dresses the girl was wearing belong to their friends. Because many of these girls don't even have their own rooms they live in. They patch up with their other friends, and they go from one friend to the other borrowing. That's the same thing that are happening with men. Now, even in the offices, if I tell you that some people don't have salary at the end of the month, you'll be joking. You'll be thinking that I'm joking. They don't have salary because of what? Everything that enters the office, they borrow. People go and sell in the offices. This is new wrapper, this is new this is new shoe. The shoe is 35,000 for you can pay it small if you want. And many people end up not even having salary at the end of the month because they have won these beautiful things already before their money came. And then this packaging have destroyed a lot of homes. You can't take care of rent, you can't take care of your children, you can't take care of many other things. I don't want to talk about cars. Some people have gone and leased cars. They have gone and taken cars, they rented it for a month. You rent a car for a month and you use it, you move all about. And girls say, wow, that's my husband. That's the kind of person I want. When he wants to come and see your people, he comes with a car. He begs the friend, please give me your motor. And that's it. People know how to package. Now, don't follow these things. Follow natural people. If you want to know a man, go around where they live and ask the friends. Ask the neighbors. Ask people. Make investigations. Who are these people? Who is this person? Is it the real person I am seeing, or he has something else? That's the kind of thing. Now, many of these young men don't actually have their own homes. They live with their parents. They live with their mothers. But when they want to woo a girl, they go and beg their friends' rooms or their friends' houses. And then when they are in their friends' houses, you come there, the friends say, Master, I come with my girl. I beg. You should stay outside and I will. So when he is always coming with you in the house, he's free to touch everything and do everything, even allow you to go to the kitchen and cook. But the truth is that is not his house. When he gets married to you, the next thing is that you will stay with my parents for some time because I want to travel. And then when he comes back, he never goes out of that house. And you wonder what is happening. Because he was doing packaging. That story is very common today. Most young people don't want to be responsible. They only want to do flashy things to win a woman. You can't win a woman's heart that you want to live for the rest of your life. You use for packaging to win that kind of person. For 2 years, she will be with you. For 5 years, she will be with you. For 10 years, she will be with you. And then you want to use but those flashy things to woo them over. My brother, that is what is causing hell today in the society. Come and see how some of these girls, they do prostitutions along even this Bonamusadi here. You see, you're going around there, you see a lot of prostitution and everything. What is happening? In the night, they go for prostitution. In the day, they dress so well. And our men who like flashy things, you don't know where they got money to get all those things they are wearing. And you go for such people. Then when you get married to them and discover that they were prostitutes, you begin to insult them for nothing. It's that you did not make time to investigate them. You did not make time to find them. Sometimes you don't need to call a woman before you go and visit her. You need to just surprise them. Sometimes you need to just go to some areas where you know they used to go to and try to make investigations and find out who are these people and where are they coming from. My brothers and sisters, this is very clear. Even in the church today, there's a lot of packaging in the church. You don't have, Instead of you to humble yourself and you say you don't have, you begin to pretend and begin to give false impression. People begin to believe that, oh, this boy know what to do and this boy said they know what to do. Only for you to want to come and discover that, no, that's a mess. And everybody begin to soil themselves in a mess. This pretentiousness have destroyed a lot of things, especially in the church today. You want to do a wedding that is flashy, is big and everything, but you don't have the money. After that, you will pay debt until something. Now, what will happen if after a marriage, you just did a wonderful party, and then you have 2 million francs to pay for debts, and your salary is not up to 100,000 francs, and you have the woman in your house to take care of after marriage? See, you are in trouble.
Okay.
Yes, you're in trouble.
I hope the lessons was dripping down your spines. And now, Reverend, when we gather what he is saying, are we also saying that before we get into a relationship or accept to marry somebody that we are going to spend the rest of our lives with, we should do a lot of background check on the person?
Yes, I will support that idea, and I will try to explain something about the old days. In fact, in those days, when you meet, if you see a girl you love, you come and tell your parents that I've seen a girl, and your parents, your father may say, okay, hold on, I'll try to do my verification. There are some things that your father wants to verify. Your father wants to first of all verify whether there's witchcraft in that family, whether there are, in fact, whether that family can stay in marriage. In fact, there are so many things that these parents will do in those days. So today, as my co-partners were saying, there are people today that engage, either men or women, just engage in marriage. They even married before even their parents are even aware of what they have done. So it is really regrettable. What I want to say is that, you know, I'm a pastor of, I teach about perfection, because perfection is possible. Without perfection, in fact, nobody even won lesser than perfection. Everything, if you eat plantains that has not reached maturity, you don't have the taste. Everything you eat, even fruits, you don't have the taste. I don't know whether you have tasted a pineapple or pawpaw that has not reached perfection. So I am a man, in fact, I have studied to understand, not only studying, I have a revelation of what I'm talking about perfection. What is troubling marriages is because we don't know how to handle it. I will explain you something. In fact, my wife, when I married my wife has at least 2 masters. But I try to remark something, because at times we may be with people. The way she speaks, it will not be the way she speaks with me when we are together. So I try to understand some things, and I try to tell her, you have to be natural. You don't need to mascara. You don't need to hide something.
Yes.
I understand. You have to be natural. Me, everywhere, the way I speak, it's not because I'm on television. In fact, I am natural in what I'm doing. In everywhere I go, I keep my way. There's no way that you come today, you say, no, that man is different. No. In fact, perfection is not, as I said, is not only external. If you are perfect, for instance, spiritually, you need also to be perfect physically in order to march together and to bring, in fact,
if I get you, Pastor, you are saying that we should not take the lame excuse that there is no perfection to continue living in imperfection.
Yes.
Like it's Apostle Paul who talks about abusing grace now.
Yes.
That shall we say because shall we
because
say
yes.
more?
Because grace will
yeah, it's very important, because what I want to say is that if Jesus Christ was a man that just wanted people to live in,
in imperfection.
In imperfection, as I was saying, in fact, he will not start teaching, because the book of Matthew chapter 5 was the beginning of his teaching. He told the people, you say, you therefore must be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. It's not a word that we have to think that perfection is not within the marriage. So if they come into understanding about perfection, they will lay a better base to advance. We are not saying that today they have to be perfect before they come in marriage. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there is a base. Even if they are not perfect, there is a base to attain perfection. They should strive. They should strive to attain perfection. Because there is a possibility to attain perfection. Because without perfection, nothing can be good. Nothing can even please anybody. Because there will be limitation in our doing.
Okay. Good evening to all of you in the studio. Please, Mr. Leo, a good wife will always advise the husband where she feels fine. I'm Enongene writing from Tombel. Good evening. Good evening to you all in the house. Please, a man who spends half of the day with his friends be considered as an imperfect man or a wicked man after leaving his wife and children at home. Linda writing from Yaoundé. What's happening now, Linda? Good evening. This is your panelist imbalance. How can you be talking about marriage and you all are male panelists? No, there was a female panelist who was invited. She just informed me this evening that she had an emergency to attend to. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and to all in the studio. The program is quite interesting. I came in late. I just want to say marriage is all about understanding and tolerance. And if you're a woman out there who think you can contribute to this discussion, call us next week. I will invite you. Good evening to you all in the studio. It is Innocent from Baham. There is no perfect human being. But in marriage, when 3 is understood, you get to see your partner as a perfect person. Okay, I don't know how that works, okay? Tina wants a balanced panel from Bamenda. Tina, please, if you can join us next week, I'll be glad. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Is Cletus from Limbe. Perfection in marriage, your relationship is very difficult. One factor that is really destroying perfection is communication. When the two can't develop a platform of communication, perfection will be very far away. Okay. Perfection, like beauty, is in the eye of the beholder. Okay. Roberta writing from Yaoundé. Good evening, Mr. Leo. There is no perfect wife, no husband, but there is a perfect marriage. A perfect marriage is built on tolerance. Enomulu. Bath writing from Bamenda. Yes, I want us to look at fact-checking before getting married. Can that save?
Yes. I was really hoping to have that question. Thank you so much, Mr. Leo. I really want to say that, I know I've not really spoken much. I really want to say something. This, most at times, I want to say, like somebody was saying here, this perfection we are talking about, like Apostle Valentine was saying, I remember last 2 weeks, I made a statement that when you are marrying, remember you are marrying a mindset. You are not just marrying a person. You are not just marrying a height, a size, a nationality. You are marrying a mindset. And this means that perfection will be a term you will use for yourself to say this person is perfect for me. It means that who will be perfect for me in marriage will or may not be perfect for the apostle, may not be perfect for the apostle. This is something, because as long as we have different purposes and different personalities, not everybody can blend. Like we have said, we are talking about that match, that alignment. So, whether you like it or not, everybody has different lens in which they view life. And like somebody was talking about communicating, sometimes it's not because you are not talking. It's because of the lens the person is using to view your words. I hope you know that communication is only effective by the image created in the person who is hearing. It is the picture created about what was said that makes sense. So when I say car, that sound is to a Chinese man is like you are coughing, car. But it can mean something else. It is the image. So if I start making chan chun cha cha, you are wondering what is this man saying. A Chinese man might understand what I say if that sound is making an image in his head. So, and take note that any image is created by the filters in that person's mind. And that is why, going to the fact checking, I have a whole teaching, I think I mentioned it last time, a whole tape on profiling the man you're dating. Unfortunately, I'm still working on profiling the woman, so it's not a biased thing, but it can work both ways. It's just telling people, it's because people have not even understood dating. It comes right even to the dating. People have not understood. Like the church is shying from this one because the whole thing, dating is about sex, clubbing, drinking. Like how you talk about how a girl will marry a man who does not have a house. That is because your priorities were not even in place. You were looking for something else. If you knew how to profile, I have a whole tape. I believe every woman should listen to that. It's a book. I have the book I'm writing. It's how to profile the man, because girls don't even know what they are looking for when they are dating. So if you knew, you would know how to check the fact. Because like we are talking about, this fact check is not just to go and hire a spy to be spying the man. There is a way you can check a man to understand if a man is hiding you. Because if women should learn to appreciate people, like they say, a man who parks a bicycle is better than a man who is driving his father's car. Good. Learn to understand men. Today people are just, I don't want to approach from the fact that every man who is driving a car is packaging. No. Let's not belittle the people who are enjoying their life, because sometimes people console themselves and say, nah, would they make it so that not everybody who is driving a car is suffering or is trying to form. No, I don't want to think about that, but I'm talking to that person who is trying to date a man or to marry a man. Check to understand his value system. And when you understand that value system, you cannot understand a man's value system when you don't know your own. Because until you know your value system, what you want, only then can you say this man is perfect for me. Because a perfect man does not come from the man. A perfect man is not a man who was preparing for you. It's a man who was preparing himself. And while you were preparing yourself, you found that your preparation make you both better. That is what we are looking at.
Okay, that's what we are looking at. But at the end of this, we talk about profiling. We talk about making considerations, considering values. But you see, love is blind at times. Here, you find yourself going through some things that because of love.
Love is blind.
Yes, no. Is that not what we say?
It's emotional. I don't know me.
If love is blind, marriage will open your eyes.
No, it will open where?
If the love is
so
blind.
so what we are saying is that you, the guy out there and the lady out there, you should not be blind in love.
No, you should not be blind.
Okay.
That is a statement crafted by the Englishman that love is blind. It's just a common proverb that came from the neighborhood.
Out of emotions.
Yeah, so if love is blind, then marriage will open the blindness. It will clear. If you are visually impaired, when you want to get married, the marriage itself is a shooting bomb. It will heal you. I want to say this in Italian. We talk a lot about preparing ourselves before getting married, making all the findings and doing all the research. Me, I've seen marriage counselors who have divorced.
Yeah, I was going to ask that question.
I'm coming.
Yes.
I've seen experts in marriage who have packed their things and go out. I've seen people who have taught on marriage, written books on marriage, have all tips on marriage, but they are not living together.
Because they fell in love now and they were blind.
No,
they were blind to their teachings.
They did not know many things, and when they grew, they knew things.
They were blind to
it's not a matter of falling.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of falling in love. As a matter of fact, most of the people who are divorcing are even the marriage experts. We have to be sincere. Let's not be sentimental here. I'm telling you that people were looking up to as role models and pathfinders in the domain of marriage. They failed us. The truth is, we are too. How do I put it? We are too principled here. We are trying to put everything around principles. But we fail to understand that there are supernatural forces working in nature.
Yes, exactly.
That's the truth. We have spoken about so many principles that can cause marriage to fail. We have not spoken about spirits that are on earth that can influence the activities of marriages. And that is an area which we have not spoken about. And I can tell you that because of the presence of evil spirits, a man might act something that he is not. He may do something under the influence of an evil spirit. I know of a professor who suddenly developed urges for his housemate. How do you compare the rank of a university professor, properly exposed, and once he was teaching sociology in the university? He knows the human anatomy very well. And then he knows the human psyche. And then he sits and begins to develop feelings for a house help. Then suddenly he finds himself sleeping with the house help. How do you put that on a scale and then try to judge it? That is it stupidity? Is it foolishness? Is it lack of exposure? Or is it the beauty of the girl? Or what are we trying to say?
All
Some
those things
forces
put together.
Some forces must have gone.
It cannot be one thing.
There's not one thing.
That's what I'm
There's
saying.
many
That's what I'm saying, that
It's not
we
one
are
thing.
judging something that has a lot of reasons as if it
can
has
say
only
it
one
has.
reason.
Yes.
Let us talk on the physical reasons why marriages can fail as well as the spiritual reasons why marriages can fail. Whether we accept it or not, whether you are an atheist or whether you are a monotheist or what, the reality is that we are living in a world influenced by evil spirits. So when we see women sometimes go out in the hands of other men, it could be some kind of bloodline afflictions.
Correct.
Where they are coming from, their roots is predominantly influenced by a spirit of adultery. And when that thing takes over you, your energy, that's why Paul says, I struggle to do what is right, yet I see another element working in my members, another law. What is this law working in my members that causes me to do the things I hate to do? That's the reason why it is possible for a man to go out and sleep and then regret it. Now let me conclude this. Men make love, not men sleep, or let me put it, let men sex not out of love. It's women that make love out of love.
No, it depends.
That is to say, if the woman is not influenced by an evil spirit. That's the reason.
What do you mean by
No, it depends.
I'll explain to you. There is, in most marriages, when you hear adultery, in every exception, every rule there's an exception. If you hear adultery, it's mostly championed by men. When you see infidelity in a home,
what has that got to do with love?
wait, eh?
What?
I'm explaining. I'm
Are
coming.
you saying that a man who has 5 women is not in love with them?
Cannot love.
It cannot be in love with 5 women.
Cannot.
Okay.
No, you can't. Say
Anything can
We'll explain,
attract
we'll explain.
a man to a woman.
I don't think so.
That doesn't mean
you can
it
love
is
5
love.
women.
that. You can love 10 women at the same
No,
time.
no.
It's possible.
As I'm
Very
telling
possible.
you, listen,
cannot.
listen. I'm explaining something. It's my time to talk now.
Okay, yes.
Also. Let me speak. When I feel it,
Okay,
you counter
okay.
it.
Okay.
You can counter it. You are free. Do you mean to tell me the 1,000 men Solomon had, he loved all of them? And there were those 1,000 men, the women that he never touched. Because why? Out of infatuation, he could see something he wanted, he gathered and kept in his house. If you see a woman start cheating in a home, 90% sometimes is influenced by the men. They do it as revenge. Whether you accept on this platform or you don't accept on this platform, that's the stark reality. Men are driven by their looks. Women are driven by their touch. A woman cannot start reacting emotionally if she's not influenced by an evil spirit, except a man start touching her, not with hand. You touch a woman's heart with words. A woman is bonded to you not because you sex her. She's bonded to you by what you tell her. Communication is stronger than sex. That's the reason why the woman that talks to you more is bonded to you than the one you sex. That's why if you see a woman sees you talking with her husband consistently, she will fight because why? She knows that communication has power. If you want to break a relationship, you don't cut off sex, cut off communication. Sex will automatically die. Because the arousement of sex into your system is based on the words thrown over each other. When we talk about infidelity in homes, most is men who start it. And then so women do it, and women are people who are very patient. I'm not to defend them. And when they can no longer take it, they will do it as revenge. And once they start doing it as revenge, anything can pass within the act of revenge and produce many other things. So when you see a man says he sees one woman, he sees what a man can have 20 women. There's difficult for a woman to leave her husband and go and have 5 men. If she leaves a man, she will cleave to another man. Okay. But to see her leaving her man and joining with 6 other men is difficult, except she's a prostitute. And she could be doing that act as an act of revenge to what she has done, seen a man done on several occasions. So let's be realistic here. And there are people who are coming from families that have, he said libido, high libido. They are also coming from families with spiritual sex husbands. That such demons influence their drive. They call it in English, nymphomania. It's a sickness. And the person in question is a nymphet. A person that has uncontrollable sexual desire. Is in medical parlance is a disease. Then you stumble and get married to such a person who is sick, because such a sickness is not detected in the hospital through a lab. So you get married to such a patient because we go to the hospital and run the test for genetic tests, pregnancy tests, HIV tests. We don't run tests for nymphomania.
Okay.
So she comes into your house with nymphomania, and then you hit in the morning. You talk 2 hours, you want to hit. Before 3 hours get, you want to hit. You will jump from the window and run away.
Okay.
That time, an individual is not able to satisfy her.
Okay.
So there are a lot of reasons that cause all these things. We should not hang as if it's one particular reason.
We are going to take the last 30 minutes to discuss on our second topic for tonight. After the short break, except somebody had something to add to what. Huh?
Let's get the break. Let's get
Okay. Okay. Let's get a break. Welcome back. You're watching Prime Hour on my Media Prime. We are going to be looking at, we are still talking couples, sharing responsibilities in a relationship with a couple. Who does what? How does it work? Since you just spoke, I'll start with you. Is it imperative that in a family responsibilities should be shared, or since the father is the head, he carries all the best of the responsibilities?
Yeah, in terms of responsibility, you know, it varies with one family to the other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in families where the man is working, you know, he's called the breadwinner, and then he tries to put things in place. There's also another family that the man is working, the woman is also working. So those are situations. And then there's another one that it is the woman that is working and the man is not working. Those are some of the things. Now, when we talk about responsibility, a lot of people looks at it only from the angle of financial supply. But responsibilities come in different dimensions and different distance. Sometimes you just need to say, okay, you are the one taking care of the children. That's all. You're the one washing their dresses, you know, ironing them, and then make sure that they sleep, or take them to school and bring them back. That kind of a thing. So most families have always had this problem, especially like I followed one program from Nigeria, and they were arguing between the husband and the wife that the wife has to drop her job because the man also is working so that they can take care of the children. The woman said, no, I get my satisfaction from my job apart from the money I get, and that kind of a thing. And then what was the conclusion? The conclusion was, who brings more satisfaction to the house as a result of your job? And we discovered that the woman brought more satisfaction because she brings the supply. Her salary is higher and so many other things. So they said the man can drop his job because his job was not for paying, let's say paying to a certain extent. And the man said no, because of his pride.
African man.
Yes, an African man will never do it. But some people can do it. Some people. I know of so many cases. For example, there are many times, the kind of job I do as a pastor, I can have enough time, ample time to take care of my children. And so I make ample time for that. So that's just it. To cook for them, to make sure that they go to school and bring them back, that kind of a thing. So that is a common life that I've been used to it. So, but you will say an African man.
It's a rare life. I hope you know that.
It's a rare, but that's a life I've lived. So
Yes,
that's why I say that there's no word like a general word to say that this. Because there are certain things that I do, or there's something I've experienced. That when somebody talks about it, I say, no, from my experience, this thing is possible. This one is possible. This one is possible. But people take it general that everybody is like that. That's why I'm saying that. There are situations where a man has to drop his job because what the woman brings to the family is higher enough to cater for so many other things than what the man is. So we don't want to risk our children to go astray. So the man stays down to take care of the family, even though I know in most cases it is practically impossible for Africans to do that. But so many people are doing it. I know so many couples that have agreed that the wife go to work. For example, my wife, kind of job she's doing, she needs a lot of time, she needs a lot of things. So she goes for job. And then I spend more time at home for my children and my family, and then for my ministry. I have just known that. I've just known that I have to cover up that area for her. And, you know, we're going on very well for many years today. So that's exactly what I'm trying to say. So in times of sharing responsibility, we should not look only about the family purse. Apart from the family purse, there are other things. Other things like what? Now, when it comes to my family, please, you're the one that's going to make sure that my family have a supply. When it comes to your family, I will be the one to take care of that. Sometimes we can say the woman should be able to be responsible for what? Every month or every year or trimester, okay, you try to see that where my family is, okay, they gave us a list of worries that they had or needs. Let's try to see what we can do or what we cannot do. So they check it to say, okay, you will be the one to handle that. In most homes, they have said that, okay, if my in-laws, you say the in-laws of the wife, they are coming, what happens? She is the one to handle it. But when the in-laws of the man, they are coming to the house, it's the man that handles it. So that what? The in-laws also feel well with the other person. So they have distributed that job in a good way that is able to be a blessing. But let me tell you something that is very truthful. Any couple that plays against their families will not go far. Because when they have a problem tomorrow, their families will use that against them. And they will pressure their son or their daughter that have come to complain. And they will cite them. And it will become a very big problem. So it is always good to make this particular distribution of responsibility. So you would handle this area. And never put your family aside. Okay, what about the children's school? Who goes to pay the school fees and all the like? The man may be the one giving the school fees, but the woman goes to pay. The woman may be the one giving the school fees, but the man goes to pay. All these little things are very important for us to take in consideration.
Reverend, typical African family, who should do what? Or we go by what Apostle is saying, that the man and the woman should come together and then look at what charges they have, yes, responsibilities they have, financial and others, and then together agree on who should do what.
Yes, what I want to say is that there must be a standard in everything. That means a universal standard.
Okay.
Because Africa do not supposed to have their own standard. God created one world, one people, one family. People supposed to understand that all of us are one. Okay. Are you understanding? The Europeans, or let me just say, all what has been happening, we have the Africans, the European, the Asian, and so on and so forth. According to, I always go to the ideal. If what went wrong in the Garden of Eden, if it was correct, we're supposed to be one family. We're supposed to understand. We're supposed to understand how we're supposed to live in the family. For instance, you have asked a question that who should do this or who should do that, right? What he was explaining, because when you look at women, they have, a large buttock. To tell you that they are called to sit down. I mean, the original idea. No, listen very well. Don't laugh. Don't laugh. I'm explaining to you. The men have a bigger shoulder. You understand what I'm talking? Listen very well. Look, if a woman sit and lean, it causes a problem. I'm telling you the ideal. Okay. Because of the buttocks. Are you understanding? They are called to sit down in a long time than men. Okay. People don't know this. Okay. And that is why they are the people that are supposed to take care of the home in the ideal world. Okay. Are you understanding? But today we are in the fallen world where there is a lot of difficulties. In fact, as you were saying, that at times even the woman can even bring more finance in the house. Yes. In this fallen world that we are saying, we can permit some certain things. Like Solomon that got married to many women. It was not the ideal. It was not the ideal that God permitted because he was heading somewhere. I don't know if I understand what I'm saying. Yes. So I'm saying that there are some certain things that are permitted because of the fall, but we are heading towards a perfect world where we understand exactly the role of each and every one. That's what I can say.
Okay. Yeah. In this context, the man is the head.
Yes.
The Bible says the woman is a helpmeet now.
Okay.
Yes. How does it function?
I think that a woman can help with finances. Helpmeet does not mean that the man is the highest. I think money, when we really defined marriage based on purpose, money is just a facilitator. But I would like to say this: nature is not fair to women.
Oh.
The very fact that they are the one who carry children for 9 months. Now, whether you like it or not, you cannot take that child, even if the woman, that is why you see some companies will avoid giving certain responsibility to a woman because they can't bear you being absent for 9 months and there is nothing you can do for that 9 months. Yes, there are jobs you can work while pregnant, but there are also things you cannot do while pregnant. Nature is not fair in that light. That's one. Secondly, the mother-child bond, all of us, most of us are sociologists, all of this, the mother-child bond is stronger than the father-child bond when the child, because most parents are looking up to the dad, but at adolescence, where they start looking up to, now, that bond, if most of the times, that maternal affection, when it's taken, has a long-term effect on the child. Now, please, I'm not saying this is impossible. I'm just saying that these are some of the things that must be considered. I am not trying to make an ultimatum and come and use Bible here to say that it must be so. I'm saying that these things are not fair. And that is why I made a post the other day on Facebook. And I said, whether women like it or not, women's rights, they will fight it on their own terms, men's rights on their own terms, but they cannot fight it like woman wants to have all the right a man has, because they will never have it. Neither will a man have all the right a woman has, and they will never have it. So whether you like it or not, a man and a woman cannot compete in certain heights in industry because of these little things. But now you have seen that there are wise ways, or there are still smart ways to handle this. For example, if a woman is earning more, and you are hoping that the man should stay at home, better be sure that this man is like Pastor Alfred, who can cook and take care of children. Not every man can do that.
And it will not be forever.
Yeah, I'm saying, not even only like that, because sometimes you must understand it. The other man's imperfection can be that they don't know how to cook. You might be blessed, you maybe for your background or where you're coming from, you know how to handle the children, you know how to, not every man knows how to do that. So if that woman is earning more and they think that the only solution is for that man to be there, it might also be a problem, not just because the man does not want to do it, but the man may not be able to. So I want to say here that this is something that if anybody is going through such a challenge, I encourage them here to better meet me on a one-on-one. It is a consulting problem. It is something that can be handled at a unique level, because we are just like we said here, we are giving general advice, but there are some things that let's not come and say here and somebody just speaks and write and think this is the general rule. We are just trying to make the possibilities be clear, but we want to make here that when the responsibility come, understand where you are going, understand how it's operating. Like, for example, as a man who was going where he's going to, I must know which kind of help. That's what I said, that a man is looking for the help. Which kind of help is my wife giving to me based on where I was going to? These were things that were supposed to have been defined, and I understand it. So when these responsibilities are coming, we must know how to balance it and know how to manage it in a way that it will not bring, because we are talking about the typical African man, we don't start talking about pride here. That said, no, I will not do it, not because, no. Look at the sustainability of the family, but ensure that what you are fighting for will make it work towards the goal of it.
Pastor Lefor, the Bakri man naturally can sit at home and take care of their children.
I don't want to start talking about, I don't want to say
something. It's not a matter of Pastor Alfred.
I don't want to say something that will be tribalistic. Let me not say something that will be tribalistic.
Please.
Let's not go into that, because I don't want to say something that will be tribalistic.
Greetings to you all in the studio. Please, men of God, I have this problem. I'm deeply in love with a girl from the Northwest, and she too loves me very much. We both are in the university, and we have been planning our own future. So I decided to visit her parents, and they told me their daughter cannot marry a Southwesterner. Please, I need advice. I don't want to lose. No, she wants to lose me. Thanks. Lannister is writing from Yaoundé. Apostle Ambe will answer you, Lannister, please. But let me take a few messages. Good evening, Mr. Leo. There is no perfect husband or wife, but you can make it perfect. Madame Gale, writing from Bova. Good evening to you all in the house. Please, I have a man that don't discuss with you, no care about your problems. How can you treat that type of marriage? Okay, if you have a man who has a very little care or interest in what you do.
Right.
I am really enjoying the program. I want to ask what are the various conditions to keep a relationship very strong and having little problems or misunderstanding? D. James, writing from Yaoundé. D. James, you should pray. Good evening, Mr. Kum. Thanks very much to your guys. There is no 100% efficient or perfect partner in any relationship. Some individuals are immature, age-wise, socially, economically, culturally, religiously, and so on. Norms for perfection are better for discussions. Pangala, my teacher out there in Womb. Good evening to you. Good evening, Mr. Kum. I and my husband love your program so much. Just want to thank Apostle Ambe for that rich explanation. God bless you. Claudia is writing from Tico. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm enjoying myself. The program is a blessing. I am searching. Okay, I need more insight on what it takes to know the right partner. It's Morgan writing from Bonaberry. Morgan, you better take the discussion serious. Good evening, Mr. Kum, and highly resourceful men of God in the studio. It's Ndang Walters from Bengui. Successful depends on compatibility at all levels or understanding between the spouses. Emotionally, there are three categories of human beings: those with very high sexual appetite, the moderate, and the frigid or impotent. If there is emotional compatibility, the relationship will be successful since love conquers all. But emotional incompatibility will compel one partner always to go out to satisfy this emotional need. Good evening to you. Good evening to you guys in the studio. I think no one is perfect, but what we try to do is striving towards perfection. It's immaculate writing from Yaoundé. Apostle Ambe, Valentine Ngwa. Typical African society, because what we are talking here is purely the westernized system, even the urban, all of what we have been discussing here. Majority of Cameroonians, our mothers in Muya, mothers in Ambe, Ndu, watching us, they have a different lifestyle. Yes. The father, the man gets up in the morning, goes to tap the palm wine, the mother goes to farm, and they have to send children to school. How does that work out? Yeah. You also have to answer the question too.
Yes, let me start by answering the question of the person who says that he is from Southwest, the girl is from Northwest, and the parents of the girl do not want the relationship. Well, that's my case. I'm from the Northwest, my wife's from the Southwest. The family did not want the relationship. I think the decision of every marriage is not dependent on the parents, not dependent on the in-laws. It's dependent on two people in question. If the girl decides to get married to you and she sees you as a dreamer, no matter how resistant forces gather, at the end of the day, the will of the people in question will prevail. I have seen people who have taken their stand that I would rather stay, not get married until you allow me to get married to the person I wish to get married to. It is a girl who knows what she wants to get married to and she knows where she's going to in life. Parents, we spoke the last time here, should not be the one to select partners for their children. And if two persons are in love and make a decision to stand firm to get married, I think if the parents stand as a resistance, they should be patient enough. Only time heals wounds. Sometimes they will not accept you initially, but somehow, if it's the will of God, God will wangle his way through the relationship and then make a way out. Like what happened to me when I took my wife to her family and asked for her hand in marriage. The family began crying that they have lost their sister because I was not poor, I was poor. You see, there's a level of poverty that you not P-O-O-R again, it's P-O, you just cut it short, poor. The level of poverty was too high that the family looked at me and then they saw no future. But you see, the girl said to them that it's either she gets married to me or she doesn't get married at all. Her resistant nature and her determination concluded that she wanted me. And that's how we were able to scale through and I got her. So I think true love has patience. True love has resilience. True love has endurance. True love has long suffering. If they are really determined to get married, they should give time, space. It will solve the problem. Now, coming back to your question, in a typical African society, we grew up in our families understanding that mothers are housewives. The housewife takes the responsibility of house chores, taking care of the children, feeding the children. The father's responsibility is to go out. So predominantly in the African mind is the man that works the money. The woman is the one that administrates and spends the money. So the woman is the house administrator, while the man is the bulldozer. That's why when men go out every day, they come back in the evening, the woman has a list of things. Pap is finished. Pepper is finished. That's her specialty. She knows every nitty-gritty that is not available in the house. She tells the man. The man is what to provide. But with the woman emancipation theory and a lot of involvement in knowledge, we begin to drag the woman now into a place of responsibility. Now, if the Bible says that a woman is a helpmate, if somebody is coming to help me, that person may equally be strong as I am, or even stronger than me. For instance, if I ask for Reverend Essingie to hold that table that way and help me, he must definitely have the same force like me to pull it, and I pull it. And so women are not weaker vessels in terms of their ability to make provision. They are considered weaker vessels because they're emotionally weak. That's the weakness of a woman. And then physically they are fragile. So when we talk about a woman contributing and helping a house, it is not some kind of a church or Bible doctrine. It is a global concept. But the woman, what is she helping? Because we're talking about help is not just giving finances. Some people think that because the woman gets up in the morning, breastfeed children, clean the house, arrange the place, she does not give a couple in the house, she's not helping. She's helping in her own way.
Yes.
A psychologist asked a man that who is taking responsibility. He says, I'm the one taking all responsibility because my wife is not working. He said, my wife is not working. He said, yes. He said, who bathe the children? He said, my wife. Who feed them? He said, my wife. Who take them to school? He says, my wife. Who bring them back? He says, my wife. When they are still carrying to the hospital and they say, wife is not working, she's working. That thing she's doing there is working. Work is not when you leave and go to a particular company. Work is energy invested to accomplish a task in every day. And so she invests her energy and time and her talent to take care of the children. A woman has the capacity to be turning cocoyam in the fire and at the same time breastfeeding a child, because they work with both sides of the brain. But the man works with one side of the brain.
Bedtime.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leonard Shu, writing from Queen. Marriage is true love between two couples. That is to say, understanding behavior between the two couples. Mr. Kum, for me, the man is the head of the family, but he needs the woman to accompany him to prosper in a good relationship. Shu, from Queen, good evening to you. Compatibility, responsibility, daily communication and understanding leads to perfection. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu and crew. We understand that we are one people but different colors, but tradition and religion counts. Just have a good foundation. Love, respect, belief and faith. Agendia Sylvester, writing from Yaoundé. Good evening to you, Agendia. Don't know whether it's still Agendia. No. Okay. Hello, Mr. Leo. I enjoy the program. Marriage is a daily based learning. Okay, you mean it's a learning process every day. Elvis is writing from Santa. Good evening to you. Men must accept their partners and move along with them. Some men complain all the time, which is not good for a relationship. Okay. Hi, Mr. Leo. Good evening to you. We get married in spite of marriage is a choice and engagement, a way of being, but most especially responsibility. While sex is important in a marriage, it can never be the all in a marriage. Mekeda Masango E, writing from Limbe. We will have to end at this juncture of the program. Very briefly, I want us to talk on something. One minute, please. It is often said that the money of the husband is that for the house, but that of the wife, even if your wife is working, it is her money. How do we look at it?
No, some people came to that conclusion. That's why I'm saying that I don't like general statements. Mm-hmm. Some people, it's specific. What happens in one house is not the same thing that happens in the other house.
So the money, if the wife is working, the money should be put on the table for everybody.
Everybody, even the man, the husband. The husband, that is especially the Christian culture. They believe that they should be able to talk about it together. But you can also decide, because even in the court, they say it's a joint account, joint property and everything. So when nobody owns anything on their own, so that's what it should be.
So if you're Reverend, if your wife is working and you are working, your wife's money is that of the family and not her money.
That is the ideal. But when we have divergent understanding. I mean, on the falling level, there's a lot of the falling level. There's a lot of
divergence.
So divergence. That's what I'm saying. So I'm saying that is the ideal. That is the ideal that they should share everything.
Yes.
But if we cannot share because of the level of the heart,
Okay.
so we allow people to do some certain things before the ideal comes in.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu and the entire panelists. There are no perfect husbands and wives. There are many factors that contribute to
Yes.
a satisfying marriage relationships,
Not
such as
easy.
love, commitment, trust, time, attention, good communication, including listening, partnership, tolerance, patience, openness, honesty, respect, sharing, consideration, generosity, willingness, ability to compromise. We can never identify a perfect partner by their attributes or level of understanding. Both parties have to put in hard work for a successful marriage. Halifax is writing from Canada. Okay, no, he's writing from Halifax in Canada. Greetings to you all in the studio. It is very normal for a man to help take care of the children or home when his chance while his wife works, but the wife should know that the man is just helping out and still has to do her chores before going to work. I'm in it writing from Boya. Enid, I don't understand you. Yes, I don't understand you. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm really enjoying the program. Please, I need Pastor Divine. Please, I need his advice. Pastor Divine, yes, your wife, if your wife is working, he brings the money to you?
Yeah, okay. Yes.
Oh, your wife's money is there for her and her
There is-
family, then you take care of everything.
No, I think there is no one way to handle finances in a home. It comes from the wisdom in the uniqueness of the marriage. That means but one thing is clear, that every leader of the home should have financial intelligence. This is what we expect. And even if the leader does not have financial intelligence, let the woman who we perceive as the manager have financial management skills. This is what will be expected of both people. So no matter the points we are making here, whether they're dividing money for what, it boils down to financial intelligence. No home can prosper without finances. Like we said here, financial problem is number one problem in the home. So they should have that.
Good evening, Mr. Liu. Is White Wedding Compulsory? Eric is writing from Oku. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Conclusively, every couple should build love and understand themselves. I think this makes every couple to have a bond. But if this is lacking, then there isn't any good relationship. Sir, me writing from Aqua. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I would like to have Apostle Lamford number. I really appreciate the program of today. Sorry, Apostle Divine. He will give you his number at the end of. Just get your pens. He will give you. No, answer is White Wedding compulsory.
Compulsory, yeah, that's a question.
Thank God you say white wedding. White wedding is not compulsory. It's not in the Bible. It's not obligatory by the state. It's not obligatory by the custom. To me, white wedding is a public show that you're officially bonded as couples. The idea of white wedding to me is a spectacular display of something that has already been concluded within the state and the family. So it's not obligatory.
Okay. Or if you want Apostle Lefor device number, just write to me after the program.
Maybe some people might want it, so the way they want to contact, let me just give them a number they can contact.
Okay.
You said you already told them now that I should give them 67552-8266. That's the number you can contact on WhatsApp only, please. WhatsApp 67552-8266.
Okay. Apostle, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, Mr. Liu. It was a wonderful time today. I believe that even after the broadcast, people will have to learn a lot of things again.
The broadcast comes up tomorrow.
Yes.
Please
say it again. So people were asking me, please.
Thank you for coming, please.
Thank you, Mr. Leo. Thank you, Cameroonian, for being part of today's program. I know you've learned so much. God bless you.
Okay. And to you, Reverend, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all our televiewers. Thank you for our co-panelists.
Okay. Apostle Lefor, thank you too for coming here.
It's always a pleasure. I'm always glad to be in Douala every Tuesday.
Okay, we are going to end at this juncture. Thank you, Desmond, and to you, Eli, and Bertrand, and Noel, not forgetting you, for producing this program, and to you, Tabit Tambe Bryant, who is supervising our work out here. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.